Good evening. Amid an unabated wave of COVID-19 infections, the government has announced more draconian curbs effective this Thursday. That's on top of a brand new measure that would allow authorities to keep people at high-risk locations from going out. Those in violation of the order could be subjected to a fine of $25,000 and jail time of 6 months. The 4-day animation comic game expo slated to be held January next year will also be cancelled due to COVID. As the daily COVID-19 tally continues to skirt above the 100 mark, an unprecedented mandate could be issued by authorities, stay-at-home orders.
Really is to allow reasonable requirements to be imposed on the person concerned until the relevant test results is available. So basically, we want to stop the movement of this person within a certain premises that are high risk.
Authorities could also move these quarantined individuals to isolation centers or other designated locations if needed. As the stay-at-home order could last up to 7 days, the government will provide them with food and other basic necessities. Those with special needs, including medical conditions, could apply for exemption. New measures for travelers returning from overseas too.
We did have a few cases discovered in Hong Kong that have symptoms or were confirmed after a 14-day quarantine period. And that's why we will require those arrivals to do another test on the 19th day.
In 2 days, dinners out won't be possible as dine-in services at restaurants must stop at 6 p.m. The number of attendees at banquets will be capped at 20 and only 2 persons are allowed per table. Fitness centers, beauty and massage parlors, previously spared the closure mandates, have to shut their doors for 2 weeks. Some fitness center owners worried up to 40% of their staff have to be let go.
It's a bad Christmas gift in this year because we can't run our business. Just one choice, cut budget.
The social impact of the fitness industry is very serious, and I'm worried that there are more than 100 fitness gyms will close in the coming months.
90% of the city's privately run fitness centers are around 1,000 to 3,000 square feet, like the size of this gym. These centers conduct lessons mostly on a one-on-one basis, but not in a big class, even before the pandemic. Industry workers believe the risk of spreading the virus in such centers won't be huge and hope the government won't close their businesses once and for all. Starting Friday, the fixed penalty for flouting the mask mandate will also be ramped up to $5,000. The city reported 100 new coronavirus cases today, with 95 of them being locally acquired infections. Kenichi reports.
Cases are back up in the 3-digit threshold, with nearly 70% of them relating to previous viral clusters. This includes the dance cluster, which has produced more than 660 infections as of today. Among the 13 latest patients added to the cluster, one is an occupant of Ho Yuk Chink Willow Lodge in Tai Kok Tsui. In Chang Kwan O, 2 more cases have been added to the infection cluster involving a construction site for Lohas Park's Phase 9 project. That brings the total number of related cases there to 52. Also affected by an outbreak is the Fang Shu Chun Day Activity Center and Hostel, where 2 new cases brought the infection total to 60. And the tally has hit 18 at Block 8 of Kwai Shing West estate.
For the 5 new cases, 3 of them reside in the 5th floor. Altogether, 8 units in the 5th floor were affected. The units are quite close to each other.
But that's not the case at Cam Wai House of Cam Fung Court in Ma On Shan, where 5 new cases are scattered across 4 different units and floors. So far, authorities have also put some 80 people into quarantine after another 9 new infections emerged from Asia World Expo.
They are housing quite a number of quarantine. They are quarantining some residents from the disabled home, and then it's very difficult for them to handle them because they may not be very cooperative, and most of them eventually become infected.
The remaining 37 other related cases encompass 2 more Center for Health Protection employees and 3 supermarket workers in Sha Tin.
There's a small restroom or common room that they may have food. Sometimes when home, they bring some lunchbox or have eat there. But not all of them are using that room because they are all staff of Yatin. That's why sometimes they might talk to each other even though they don't know each other very well.
From abroad, arrivals from the US, UK, and Russia accounted for the 5 imported cases registered today. Kana Chu, TVB News.
With 18 residents of Kwai Shing West estate confirmed infected, the chief executive explained why she didn't seal off the area when the COVID-19 outbreak initially occurred. The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department has also been empowered to restrict people in outbreak zones from leaving their premises until tests are completed. Carrie Lam reports.
Around 2 weeks ago, the chief executive mentioned that a lockdown arrangement could be put in place to tackle COVID-19 outbreaks in specific areas.
Say if there is a cluster or there's an outbreak in a building or at a container terminal, then we could have universal testing for that particular group. And that's also a kind of a lockdown arrangement. Now we will send people to collect the specimens, and then the whole area has to be sealed off. I've told the police already they have to do that.
This arrangement never materialized when a new cluster emerged in Block 8 of Kwai Shing West estate. This morning, she explained that the government lacked the legal basis to seal off the area at the time the outbreak occurred.
We attach a lot of importance to the rule of law. So every act of the public health authorities has to be based on the legal provision. That's why my public health colleagues were very cautious that they could only act to prevent or stop people from leaving that particular block in a public housing estate when they have the power.
Later today, the Secretary for Food and Health was given the power to seal off areas hit by COVID-19 for up to 7 days until testing on all affected people is completed. With a potential lockdown looming, residents of Block 8 of Kwai Shing West Estate expressed concerns about the situation. This woman said her sons asked her to move out, but she's worried about being blamed for spreading the virus elsewhere. As for this resident, she believes that compulsory testing is inevitable if there are more than 100 infections. Meanwhile, the authorities have enhanced cleaning and disinfection measures in the estate. Caleb Low, TVB News.
More high-profile